Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever sat down to play your character's combo trials, but gave up because they were too difficult? Do you feel like you can never land a hit when you're playing online? Do you mash buttons like you're making potatoes for Thanksgiving? If so, welcome to the world of being new at fighting games. Alright, get that shit out of here. That infomercial bit went on way too long. But in all seriousness, I know that starting off in a fighting game can be really overwhelming. I mean, there's so much to learn in the genre, and you got players who've been playing for many years, so I definitely see where players get concerned. And typically new players also really want to learn those big combos. You know, they want to jump in, they want to do the cool flashy thing, and I get it, you know, ape brain activate. I'm the same way too. Combos are fun as hell. But in reality, they're not what's going to happen when you get online. You're going to get online and the first thing that's going to happen to you is you're going to get your shit shoved in. But like the old adage goes, the strongest punch that you cannot land is worthless. So what we'll be talking about today is simple strategies. We're going to limit the moveset that we have and talk about how can we be an effective Street Fighter player with only a limited number of options, and then continue to build our strategy as we grow as a player. And if at any time you're feeling overwhelmed, don't feel down on yourself. That's completely normal. There's a lot going on here and you're brand new, a lot to learn. But just remember the acronym, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. You're here, you're learning. It's the beginning of a new game. It's the best time to learn. So focus on building your fundamentals and focus on having fun with the game. That's what's most important. So now let's go ahead and start talking about our strategies. Alright, we've jumped into training mode, and typically new players, you know, they really want to focus on their flashy combos and doing, you know, some fun offensive pressure and setups and things like that. But nobody ever really wants to focus on the defense, you know. The defense is a really important part of the game, and, you know, when you think about it, it's usually the first thing people learn when you're doing a real martial art, but here everybody wants to skip it, you know, they want to go straight to the fun stuff, and I get that, but it is definitely a little misguided. So if we take Kimberly here, and I'm just going to do that same string I did before, her target combo, and we'll put Luke into block here. As you can see, it says punish counter. So this is actually an unsafe string in the game, and a lot of moves in Street Fighter 6 are very unsafe. So you can get extremely far in this game by honestly kind of just turtling, holding back, and then waiting for your opponents to, you know, come in and then press all their buttons and get punished because of it. So there's a lot of benefit for just being safe and not taking too many risks when you're starting out. Okay, let's talk about an extension of blocking, and that's called the walk and block. And this is just as simple as it sounds, but most players don't use it when they're just starting off. It's really useful when your opponent is using projectiles like we've set this Luke to do, and we don't always want to use jump in as our option because it is inherently a limited option, where being grounded has a lot more things we can do as a player. So what we really want to do, as I've kind of been doing here, is slowly walking your opponent into the corner when they throw out either their projectiles or throwing out a button when we're up close. You want to just block it. And once we've gotten the opponent into the corner, like we've done with this Luke, they are inherently limited in what they can do. So now, we might be free to sit here and start applying our pressure, or go for some grabs, or whatever. But what's important to note about this is be mindful of their range and do not just continually jump. Jumps are a very predictable option and will leave you wide open for an anti-air if you do them at an inappropriate time. Alright, so now let's go ahead and move on to pokes. And pokes are a fairly simple concept. So what we'll be looking for is a move that's relatively far-reaching, relatively low commitment to basically keep the opponent at bay. So a lot of characters like Kimberly here, she's got a good poke in this medium kick. She also has a decent one in this, you know, crouching medium punch. But I would just choose one to start. So for Kimberly, we'll pick this medium kick. And since this is decently well ranged, you could use this to check the space in front of you. So if your opponent was to maybe dash at you or run up, you could throw out this button here and basically say, stay out of my space. and you get to control this space, as well as if they're trying to do, pokes back and forth, you can use your movement to walk back and forth, and then do what's called a whiff punish. So when they would throw out a move, you'd be able to poke back after they throw something out, and keep your pressure moving that way. Okay, now that we've talked about pokes, let's go ahead and identify what's going to be our standard combo. And since we're just starting off, I would recommend starting with a target combo. These are put into the game. All the characters have at least one, most have multiple. So go into your character moves, check what your target combo is, try and have one that has 3 to 4 moves, and that's going to be our standard combo. But the big benefit of these, especially as a new player, is that they're going to auto-string into each other, and you're not even going to have to really do anything other than just mash on the buttons in the appropriate order. So it's great for your execution. It just gets you into the game and allows you to use these moves. So another great thing about target combos is it allows players to be introduced to the concept of hit confirms. So let's go ahead and look at Kimberly's target combo, a light, medium to heavy kick target combo that we have right here that you can see at the bottom of the screen. Now what we'll go ahead and do is change Luke to block all. And we also have him set to punish counter if he can. So if we try and just let that rip again, you can see we did the full auto combo, but we got the punish counter that happened on the screen. So we can't just let it rip all the time unless we use the concept of a hit confirm. So if we just hit 2 buttons first, so the light punch and the medium punch, well look, I now have time to block. And that's the whole concept of what a hit confirm does. It gives the player a reaction window to see, should I continue with the rest of my combo, or do I need to go ahead and block because my option did not work out. So now I can do this light medium, I can block. I'm not safe, but at least it's not going to be the full combo I'm trying to do and then get punished. Okay, let's quickly talk about throws because they are an integral part of Street Fighter 6. So for those of you who don't know, a throw is completed by being close to your opponent and pressing your 2 light buttons together. A throw is extremely important because it allows you to beat out options like just blocking or parrying. This is your easiest way in order to get through them. Throws are extremely important because if you don't go for them, there's no threat of an RPS for your opponent, and they can sit and block all day. So being confident in your throw game is extremely important for starting off. So let's go ahead and talk about sweeps. And sweeps are far-ranging moves that knock down on hit. For most characters, including Kimberly, a sweep is reserved for your crouching heavy kick. And as you can see on Luke's side of the screen, it does say hard knockdown. The true benefit of a hard knockdown is that the opponent needs to choose an option in order to get up, which gives us, the offensive player in this situation, time to run up and choose to apply some pressure. So with Kimberly, let's say I go with the sweep, I have time to walk up. Maybe I'll walk up and I'll do a grab. Go for a sweep again. Maybe I'm going to sit here and go for my target combo. Or maybe I'm going to do a sweep, I'm going to walk up, I'm going to do nothing because I'm going to expect the opponent to try and mash some buttons. Ultimately, this is a very simple and easy way to execute and start your offensive pressure from just one move, so I highly recommend adding it to your beginner arsenal. Okay, now we're going to talk about one of the most important concepts for a player to understand when they're starting off, and that is anti-airs. When you start playing a fighting game, especially one like Street Fighter, players love to jump. You're going to see people doing this all day long, and this is how they're going to be able to get around, okay? So the best way to deal with that is choosing an anti-air option. You're starting off and you're new, so what I recommend is finding whatever your dedicated button for anti-air is. Let's not try and go down the route with the special move, even though you might be able to. When you're in the heat of the match, it's a lot harder to do. So for most characters, your crouching heavy punch is going to serve as an anti-air option. And one thing that I would recommend doing as well is you can go into the training mode. There's so many built-in options to help you out. Just go ahead and hit anti-air practice. So you can sit here and get ready to use your anti-airs. Super simple training, but anti-airing a lot will literally get you out of bronze and into silver. Alright, so one thing that I did want to mention right here at the end is a note about drive impact. Most of the drive gauge, getting started, you really don't need to know how to use it. It's probably for more advanced players, but the drive impact is a bit of a scrub killer. People are going to be throwing that out, so at all levels of play, you need to know what to do when you see this move come out by your opponent. So the way to deal with drive impact isn't that hard. You just simply drive impact back. But it is something that you need to have the presence of mind to do and the ability to execute. There are a couple other ways to deal with drive impact as well. So drive impact can technically be dealt with enough hits. It only has a couple hits of armor. However, that's just a very risky way to try and go at the move. So when you're doing strings, try and pick your strings where they are cancelable into drive impact. So for something like Kimberly, her light punch is, for an example, this medium punch, heavy punch is then cancelable to drive impact. So you want to try and choose your strings so they are moves that will end up being safe if your opponent just decides to go ahead and let your drive impact rip. Alright, now that we have all of these components, let's put the entire piece together and let's quickly talk about movement. You want to have nice, smooth movements. A lot of players, when they start off, they get real jittery, thinking they got to go in, out, in, out. Really, when it comes to this movement, you're not changing your position that much, so try and keep it to smooth movements. Stay consistent with your movement, but also inconsistent because they don't want to get predictable. After we work on our movement, we'll want to start doing things like our pokes, telling our opponent to stay out of our range. If they're jumping at us, do our anti-airs, standard things that we'd want to be doing in neutral, and then looking out for our sweep. Once we get our sweep, that's when we'll be wanting to dash in or walk in and start applying pressure. And our tools for applying pressure were our target combos. Remember to use your hit confirm if you were to fail. And then your other tool being grab, and using that basic strike throw mix-up. So I wanted to show that these concepts are easy to execute and can be implemented very quickly. So I had a friend who had never played a Street Fighter game before play me. All he had was the things we talked about in this video, and we'll be watching this video and stepping through it and seeing some of these examples. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're both playing Kimberly. Right in the beginning, we're walking back and forth, both going for some sweeps, trying to get our pressure started. Then I have a jump in and we land the grab. And then from the grab, we do go ahead and try and start some of our pressure. So the first thing I did here was try and go for a strike throw mix. I went for the strike and then used the hit confirm from the target combo, only doing 2 hits, stopping the combo. That way I would be unpunished. We do see the attempt to check back. Alright, then right here we had another similar thing happen where my friend went ahead and landed the throw, attempted to start their pressure, and went for a string, but unfortunately did not work out, but I did get hit on the counter hit for the slide. Starting with a grab, continue to move forward. Not a safe string, so again, just sitting there blocking, waiting it out. This time I do get the punish, and I land that 4-hit target combo that we talked about. Getting a grab, continuing my pressure, and going for a sweep, and then a grab. Just continuing the strike throw pressure mix-up, and then I go for the target combo. And now I have him in the corner. So what I'm trying to do right here, you see I backed off a little bit, gave some space for them to jump out. I'm just trying to keep them in this disadvantaged position. And this is a really simple concept. You don't need to run up and do a ton of pressure. You're more than welcome to, but just keeping them at this position is extremely valuable for the person with the life lead that I am. I land the sweep, and go up, and do strike throw right after, and we'll strike one out that time. So I take the first round.
Round 2.
Moving on to round 2 right here. We do see the immediate dive in, and I get the punish on the unsafe move. Going for the sweep, starting my pressure. I jump to try and be a little tricky, but he drive impacts, and I just happen to get out of the way. I attempt to do a counter hit combo, but I do mess up there. And then I I get a small little punish. I wasn't ready to do the full one, but we go for our strike. Continue the pressure with the throw. Go for another throw, continuing my pressure. And I go for strike this time. So it's just using those simple strike throw concepts. And then I go for a jump at the end because I hadn't done it, going the overhead, and then simply into the target combo. So it's not a crazy high-level match or anything like that, but we did get to use all of those concepts. We had the poking back and forth, sweeps to start pressure, and then going for strike throw mix-ups, pressure for dashing up after landing throws, and even some good use of keeping pressure in advantage state by keeping your opponent in the corner. So just showing a couple ways of how these can be used in real situations. Alright, well hopefully you have the Street Fighter bug and you're itching to see what you can do next and where you can continue to improve. So if you want to see a full video, let me know in the comments down below, but we'll do a really quick run of what I think you should probably be working on next as a graduation from this video. Well, the first thing I think you need to work on is your execution. Don't try and do the crazy, drive rush combos that you're seeing on Twitter. They're not going to be useful for you yet unless you're an amazingly high-level player. Work on just doing your special moves. Work on, if you have an anti-air, be able to do that special move anti-air. And work on your move to special cancel. So something as simple as this crouching medium punch to quarter circle forward punch. Something really simple that can help you build out a stronger combo game so you can start to move away from using your target combos, and maybe you could build it up into something a little more complex, a little more damaging, and lead to better situations. Those would be the first things that I would work on as a graduation from this. Well, thank you so much for making it this far in the video. If you found this enjoyable, please give me a like and a subscribe so we can get this to more people and get more people into fighting games. Thank you all so much. Have an amazing day, and later, gang.